ሰላም ተማሪዎች እንዴት ናቸው? ዛሬ በጥያቄዎቻችሁ መሰረት የቻፕተር 2 ሳይኮሎጂ ስለ ክላሲካል ኮንዲሽኒንግ አንድ 20 ኩዌሽን እንሰራለን። እስከ መጨረሻ ከኔ ጋር ሆኖ አመሰግናለሁ። ኩዌሽን ነምበር 1 እንበለው ይሄኛውን። Okay, a group of rangers attempt to discourage coyotes from attacking their sheep by placing a substance on the wool of the sheep that makes coyotes violently ill if they eat it. Very quickly, the coyotes avoid the sheep entirely. In this scenario, what are the unconditional stimulus, conditional stimulus, and the conditional response respectively? Okay, A. The substance, the sheep's wool aversion to sheep. B. The sheep's wool, the substance aversion to sheep. C. Aversion to sheep, the substance, the sheep wool. D. The coyotes, the sheep's wool aversion to sheep. E. The substance, the sheep's wool, the coyotes. Okay, the correct answer is A. The unconditional stimulus is a stimulus that automatically causes an organism to respond in a specific way. Okay, in this case, the substance automatically makes the coyotes ill. Okay, the first or conditioned stimulus is an originally neutral stimulus that is paired with unconditioned stimulus and eventually produces the desired response in organisms. Okay, in this case, the sheep's wool was originally neutral and is now associated with the substances. And the CR or the conditioned response is a response an organism produces when only a conditioned stimulus is present. Okay, in this case, the conditioned response is aversion to the sheeps, which occurred after conditioning made an association between the substance and the sheep. So the correct answer is A. Okay, the same rangers discovered that now not only will the coyotes not attack the treated sheep, but also they will not attack nearby sheep. This is an example of extinction, discrimination, generalization, spontaneous recovery, chaining. Okay. The correct answer is C, generalization, because generalization is the tendency of a stimulus that is similar to the original conditioned stimulus to elicit a response that is similar to the conditioned response. Okay, in this situation, the coyotes showed the same aversion response to the nearby sheep as they did to the original flocks of sheep. Okay, so the correct answer is C, which is generalization. Next question. Mr. Jackson, an English teacher, gives a pop quizzes to her students every making prayers. This is an example of A variable interval schedule of reinforcement, B a variable ratio schedule of reinforcement, C a fixed ratio schedule of reinforcement, D fixed interval schedule of reinforcement, E interval ratio schedule of reinforcement. The correct answer is A, which is a variable interval schedule of reinforcement, because variable interval means an unspecified amount of time. Okay, pop quizzes are given after unspecific amount of time. Choice B is incorrect because ratio means a specific number of times someone has to do something in order to be rewarded. So the correct answer is A. Okay, next question. In what manner would Ivan Pavlov have conducted extinction trials on his classically conditioned dogs? A. Reinforcing the behavior he wished to extinguish. B. Repeatedly presenting the conditioned stimulus or bell without pairing it with the unconditioned stimulus or food. B. Repeatedly presenting dogs with the food and the bell at the same time. D. Immediately giving the dogs food, which is unconditioned stimulus after the bell or conditioned stimulus rings. E. Repeatedly bringing in different types of food, that is unconditioned stimulus, and then reinforcing the salivating immediately after. The correct answer is B, which is repeatedly presenting the conditioned stimulus or bell without pairing it with unconditioned stimulus or food. Because extinction is the reduction in response when the conditioned stimulus no longer followed by the unconditioned stimulus. Okay, here unconditioned stimulus is the food, okay, which is a conditioned stimulus, the bell. So the correct answer is B. uh, Next question. In Johann Watson Little Albert experiment, what was unconditioned stimulus? A. The white rat. B. The little boy. C. Anything white and furry. D. The loud noise. E. Fear. Okay, the correct answer is D, because unconditioned stimulus is some stimulus that triggers or elicit a physiological reflex such as fear. Okay, in this case, little Albert automatically had a fear response after hearing the loud noise, which makes this unconditioned stimulus. So the correct answer is D, that is loud what noise. Okay. Next question. Which of the following is true of classical conditioning? Unconditioned stimulus produce unconditioned response. Conditioned response produce the conditioned stimulus. Unconditioned response produce the conditioned stimulus. Conditioned stimulus produces the unconditioned stimulus. Okay, unconditioned response produces the unconditioned stimulus. The correct answer is A, because a stimulus must produce a response and not the other way around. Choice B, C, and D. So the correct answer is what? A. That is unconditioned stimulus is produce unconditioned response. Next question. Dylan's mother buys him a sailor cap before they go on a family fishing trip. On the boat, Dylan gets nausea and vomits. The next day he gets nausea just from looking at the sailor's cap. The sailor's cap has become A. The unconditioned stimulus, B. The conditioned stimulus, C. The conditioned response, D. The unconditioned response, E. The reconditioned stimulus. The correct answer is B, uh, because the sailor's hat was formerly neutral stimulus. Okay, now Dylan has made an association between the sailor's hat and the feeling nausea. So the sailor hat is therefore the conditioned stimulus. And next question. Before Dylan became nested, he was able to go fishing with his family, even catching several fish. Fishing is an example of what schedule of reinforcement? A. Fixed ratio, B. Fixed interval, C. Unfixed interval, D. Variable ratio, E. Variable interval. The correct answer is D. Variable ratio. Okay, variable ratio is correct, because when fishing, a person does not know, okay, when or how long it is going to take catch a fish. Okay, variable interval is incorrect, because interval simply means time. Okay, so the correct answer is D, which is variable ratio. Next question. Sean sells shows for a living. His salary depends on how many shows he can sell in a 2-week period of time. What schedule of reinforcement is Sean being paid with? A. Variable ratio, B. Variable interval, C. Fixed ratio, D. Fixed interval, E. None of as above. The correct answer is C, fixed ratio. Okay. Fixed ratio is applies to any job, okay, that works on a commission, okay. Don't forget this one, okay. Ratio means the number of times you do something to get a reward, okay. And the fixed means a set of number of times you do something to get a reward, okay. When people work on commission, they know how much they will get. That's the point, okay. So the correct answer is C. That is fixed ratio. Next question. A passenger on airplane was feeling very anxious about an important job interview the next morning, and as a result of he was uneasy and nervous the entire flight. Back home a week later, he is contemplating a holiday trip. Though he hadn't previously been afraid to fly, he finds himself suddenly nervous about flying and decides to cancel his plans to visit an out-of-the-state relative. What are the unconditioned stimulus, unconditioned response, conditioned stimulus, and conditioned response, respectively? Okay. Here, the correct answer is, you can see all the choices, but the correct answer is A. That is, the unconditioned stimulus is job interview. The unconditioned response is feeling nervous and anxious. Conditioned stimulus is flying, and conditioned response is feeling nervous and anxious about flying. Okay. Because the unconditioned stimulus is a stimulus that triggers or elicits a psychological reflex. Okay, in this case it is the job interview, because it automatically made him nervous. Okay, the unconditioned response is unlearned and innate, which means it's original. Okay, in this case feeling anxious is direct involuntary response to the job interview, and the conditioned stimulus is formally a neutral stimulus. Okay, in this case the job interview, okay, the passenger was never afraid to fly. So the conditioned response is elicited from the conditioned stimulus. In this case, feeling anxious and nervous about flying would be the conditioned response. Next question. As a part of a new and intriguing line of research in behavioral medicine, researchers gave Mike saccharine-flavored water and followed it up with an injection of drug that weakens Mike's immune system. Later, when this Mike drank saccharine-flavored water, they showed signs of weakened immune response. Research is currently underway to see if the reverse is possible, if conditioned can be used to increase immune functioning, a discovery that would surely have important implications for new medical treatment. In this experiment, what is the saccharine-flavored water? Okay, A, conditioned stimulus. B, unconditioned stimulus. Okay, unconditioned stimulus, conditioned response, unconditioned response, and the stimulus response. The correct answer is B, which is conditioned stimulus. Okay. Prior to the injection of the drug that weakens Mike's immune system, the saccharine-flavored water had no effect. Okay, once paired with the injection, the saccharine-flavored water had uh, the same effect. So the correct answer is conditioned stimulus. And next question. During the conditioning process of Pavlov dogs, what elements of classical conditioning did the bell and the foot play? A. Conditioned stimulus and unconditioned stimulus. B. Unconditioned stimulus and conditioned stimulus. C. Unconditioned stimulus and conditioned stimulus. D. Conditioned stimulus and unconditioned response. E. Conditioned stimulus and conditioned response. Okay. The correct answer is A. Conditioned stimulus and unconditioned stimulus. The bell is conditioned stimulus and the food was unconditioned stimulus. Next question. Classical conditioning would be best be suited to answer which of the following questions? A. Why do people repeat behaviors when they are followed by something good? B. Why do children know a lot about driving a car before their first time behind the wheel? C. Why do people associate certain food with nausea? D. Why are some animals difficult to train to perform certain kinds of behaviors? E. Why do people imitate behaviors they see someone else gets punished for? Okay, the correct answer is C. Because classical conditioning has to do with the stimulus and the response. Okay, and choice is the correct answer. And the choice A is all about operant conditioning, and choice B, D, and E all have with the social cognitive learning. That's all about. Next question. Of the following, which would a psychologist consider the best example of learning? A. A young man's breast beginning to grow at age 50. B. A woman experiencing labor pains. C. Salmon swimming upstream during the mating season. D. A child being able to ride a bike. E. A baby sucking on her mother's breast for nourishment. Okay, choice. D is only one that has to do with a learned behavior. Okay, because a child being able to ride a bike comes through learning. Okay, this is all about. Okay, the last question. Okay, the sight of a needle can trigger fear in some people. Why is this an example of classical conditioning? A. People learn this when they are young. B. There is unconditioned association with fear and the needle. C. Needles hurt. D. With positive reinforcement, one can overcome their fear. E. As people get older, they overcome this fear. Okay. The correct answer is choice B because it uses the term unconditioned association, which is directly related to the classical conditioning. So the correct answer is B. ኦኬ እሺ ለዛሬ ይበቃናል። ቀጣይ ደግሞ የኦፐራንት ኮንዲሽኒንግ እና የኮግኒቲቭ ለርኒንግ ቪዲዮዎችን እንሰራለን። ላይክ አድርጉ፣ ሰብስክራይብ አድርጉ፣ ሼር አድርጉ። ቻው